up? I am your humble host, Tummy Tom O'Neill. I am the human body snatcher. I am back at it again, revitalized, intrigued, everything. The first thing is we're gonna touch on the Ryan Garcia stuff, okay? That's the first number one Ryan Garcia talk, okay? So Ryan Garcia not only defeats but stops Javier Fortuna in the 6th round, dropped them several times, dropped them with a nice body shot in the 4th round, set up just an epic beating for the next 2 rounds to come. I couldn't give Fortuna not one round in this fight, even before it got disastrous. I will preface this by saying that Fortuna, and we knew this beforehand, we said this last week, doesn't really belong at this weight class, I don't think, but also on top of it, I mean, I don't mean to be rude. I have nothing but respect for these fighters, but it's almost like also who cares that he doesn't belong in the weight class because he's older and he has a lot of miles on his odometer. He's been in this sport for a long time. You know, he's pushing close to around 40 fights, professional. Yeah, there's a lot to get to in the way of Ryan Garcia doing incredible in this fight, though. You know, Garcia is was worrisome a little bit before we watched this fight. And the reasons is that he looked great his whole career, but he'd never really fought anybody, right? Then he fought Luke Campbell, who we knew was a very good boxer and would be a challenge and the perfect challenge for a first kind of step up, so you're not jumping into the top 3 elite fighters of the weight class at 135. He fought Luke Campbell, and we knew Luke Campbell's a good boxer, but Luke Campbell does not hit hard. And so when Luke Campbell dropped Ryan Garcia, that was a little bit worrisome. It also, even besides him, whatever, everybody talks about that. Besides him dropping him when we watched the Luke Campbell fight, I also was seeing him just going straight back. He'd press forward as well, don't get me wrong, but when Garcia was trying to get out of the pocket a little bit, get a breather, and or just reset, whether he was doing well or not well, when he was trying to leave out of the pocket, he would go straight back. And, you know, that's I'll do the little Teddy Atlas from, well, you don't go straight back. You got to veer off. You got to take one step back and take an angle. It's like a train, right? Coming down the tracks. What are you going to do? If you run straight along the tracks away from it, it's going to run you over. You got to get off to the side. So that's my little Teddy Atlas impression for you guys. But we saw that in the Luke Campbell fight, that he was doing that he had weaknesses. So it's not as simple as, he got dropped by Luke Campbell. I mean, listen, he came back and stopped Luke Campbell with a clean, excellent body shot. But it's the things that we saw besides that, right? It's the going straight back. It's the holes in the defense. And coupled with, you got dropped by a guy who is a good boxer, but he doesn't hit very hard at all. He's not on anyone's top 30 list for the hardest hitters, you know, in that division, even probably. But yeah, those worries were crushed watching this fight, watching Garcia's return here. Those worries were absolutely crushed. That body shot to Fortuna in the 4th round was absolutely beautiful. And what the key is, because I do like to, you know, us on boxing, what we like to do is we like to get technical. We like to talk about what's going on in the fights. But the best way that I've ever been able to take that information in is simple, because I'm a simpleton, right? So we like to simplify things. And the number one thing that I took away from this was, I'm glad that Garcia was being aggressive the entire time through. I'm glad that Garcia was not being hesitant whatsoever, and that we saw those combinations that we've seen before that we knew he was capable of already. But that last fight that Garcia had after the Luke Campbell fight with Emmanuel to go, he did well. He won every round in that fucking fight, but it went all the way, not just because to go was trying to survive, which is true, but it went all the way also because he was just lighting him up. Jab straights, jabs. I'll try a little hook here. Okay, go to the body a little bit more. It was all boxing. There weren't just like a gang of, go for it, finish him power shots. It's coupled with that. And to go, but Emmanuel to go is not like, oh, he's great or anything. And he barely threw any punches in that fight, Emmanuel to go. So it was worrisome to see how he would come back, and seeing that he was aggressive and seeing that he was throwing his combinations, but also throwing them not without any fear, not being disrespectful of his opponent, right, and his opponent's capabilities. That's another little add-on to him being aggressive, but also still staying defensively sound. It's the shot selection, right, that he was using that was very on point. He did look sharp. We already knew he's powerful, and we already knew he's fast, the Flash Garcia. But it's the shot selection that he was using was just very, very precise and on point. You wouldn't imagine him, Fortuna's older. Fortuna was just not ready in any sort of way for this fight at his age, at this higher weight class, looking visibly smaller. He looked a little, he did. He looked a little fleshier in there as well. But he wasn't throwing main punches. If he was though, the way you could watch the sport is just watch the way that Garcia was throwing. His shot selection, anytime that he would let combinations go, right, was always do the combination I have in mind, finish it, take 1 second. Okay, he's not going to throw. I can unload this way safely. Again, you imagine it as if Fortuna or anybody else, if they were throwing back with Garcia, and they were throwing more punches, when you're watching Garcia throw his punches, he's so fast that there's not a lot of room to counter him when he's that on point. But also his shot selection is very good, where he's not visibly, to at least the common folk like myself, at risk of being, he's not throwing shots and then standing there with his hands down, or like Teddy Atlas was out taking pictures. You're not taking pictures in there. You gotta, don't stand back and admire your work when you're done. So, but there was a lot of great things to take away from that. Now, Garcia called out Tank Davis. I mean, I've seen that the last however many goddamn fights for however many years it's been. Welcome to boxing. Still calling out Tank Davis. And I believe that would be an excellent fight. It's a fight I've wanted to see for a long time, especially after a performance like that. Who knows if that gets made, though, man. That would be great if they did, but boxing doesn't usually work that way. Being that Tank Davis is with Al Heyman, Showtime Promotions, boxing just doesn't usually work in that way. So where the promoters can work together, especially when you're talking about such extremes. Al Heyman and his fighters, Showtime, they're not really like giving up their fighters to go fight on other networks left and right. They don't really do that. And if they're going to work with somebody, they have to be, one, severely worth the value, right, of having a fighter over there and paying them that's not signed to your promotional body. But also, it has to be on Showtime, right? And then what you have here is you have Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy fighter, in Ryan Garcia, and Golden Boy is far and away the weakest boxing promotion that there is, and we all know that. And I love Ryan Garcia, and I like Ortiz Jr., and I'm a Gabriel Rosado fan, but that doesn't matter. We all know that it's not even a competition. Like, Golden Boy is just so far down below Eddie Herman, Matchroom. They're so far down below ESPN Top Rank and Bob Arum's guys and Showtime and Al Heyman's guys. They're just not on the same level whatsoever. And then Oscar De La Hoya's not getting ready to let go of his very last meal ticket in Ryan Garcia since Canelo had left him. It's just hard to make that fight. Point being, is the talk of these guys are 135ers. Even Tank Davis is really a 130-pounder. He really is. He really is. You know, he's a super featherweight at 130, and then he can fight because of his power and his boxing capability. He can fight at 135 and be successful against a lot of those guys, and I believe even the best guys there. Now, 140, he beat Mario Barrios there, and that was another really good win for Tank Davis. But up at that weight class, Ryan Garcia is going to look so much bigger because Ryan Garcia wants the fight to be at 140. That's not fair. You have to make that fight at 135. I am all on board and not hating on Ryan Garcia for wanting to be at 140, even though we all want him to fight these other 135-pound guys at that weight class. I'm not hating on him because you know why? One, the mental health stuff. Listen, I'm not even a guy who'll sit here and tell you, oh my God, you know, it's so important. I buy into every last thing anybody says about mental health stuff. But I mean, it is real. It's a thing. And this is boxing, so they're not doing the same things, but you know, to care so much about that stuff. But you know, the guy's talking openly about committing suicide and stuff like that. You know, Ryan Garcia. I just don't, you know, what long before this, I with all his money, all his fame, all his Instagram followers, all his great career that he has ahead of him as a young man in boxing. For a guy like that to talk about stuff like this, I'm glad that I saw this version of Ryan Garcia because he looks comfortable and because he looks refreshed and because he just looks better, right? As far as boxing goes, he does. And so if he's decided, because I am a big 135er and it's hard to cut the weight, who the hell am I or you or anybody to tell him different? Then that's where he wants to fight at. But if you're going to fight at 140, you should do the Tank fight one fight. If you really want that, you should do that at 135. If you stay at 140, I kind of like the Teofimo Lopez idea, because Lopez is another guy, right, who's one of these younger guys, super talented. The fight matches up very well, and he has been having a terrible time cutting to 135, being like the biggest 135er that there is for some time now, for a long time now. And so he is moving up to 140, looking for a first fight in at 140, and that would be a perfect. I'd like to see Garcia versus Lopez, because I just don't have confidence that the Tank fight gets made next. If it does, I am just fucking ecstatic about it. But I just have, questions about that. And anyways, that was that. Garcia looks awesome. Do I think that if he did fight Tank that he'd win now? I think it's more competitive than I felt before. But no, I'd still lean Tank Davis. Joet Gonzalez versus Isaac Dogboe is taking place this Saturday, ESPN Top Rank, under that Bob Arum umbrella. Fantastic fight. It really is. Now, not a lot of guys know these. Not a lot of you might know these guys' names. They are both very good boxers. They are not the elite of that division. Both these guys, Gonzalez and Dogboe, there's some more of a pile of Navarrete victims, the both of them. And nobody's beating Navarrete right now. Nobody is at that weight class. Navarrete might move up in weight here now. That'll free up all of these other guys underneath him who are incredibly competitive with one another. but have nothing to offer Navarrete. So that'll be interesting when the weight class does open up more. There's probably some bullshit, little belts attached to these from one of the like a secondary belt or a chance to fight for a secondary belt. That's not. That has no concern. The reason this fight is good and the reason that I'm here to tell you to be excited about the fight is because it will be highly competitive. The odds have not even to this day, come out yet. And that usually means that they're going to be close when Vegas takes a long time to put out there. I guarantee you that these are close to pick'em odds. I wouldn't even know who to tell you that they would favor in this fight yet. But I am considering placing a bet on Joet Gonzalez. Because this will be, who the hell knows? This is not safe, you guys. It's not a safe bet like I sometimes try to give you, that I take a bit of pride in, that I have a very good success rate with. This is not one of those. This would be one if you want to bet. It's all for fun, and it's going to be very tight odds. I guarantee that, no matter who they make the underdog here. Isaac Dogboe basically hits a lot harder than Gonzalez, and I'm very comfortable saying that. I feel like Dogboe, and from what I've seen from him, he hits much harder than Joet Gonzalez. Now, that being said, literally, Joet Gonzalez does like to scrap with people and sit in the pocket sometimes, but his strength is his boxing ability. And he is also the taller man. He will have reach on Isaac Dogboe. And I feel that if he sticks that jab in his face and he moves, he does like to exchange a little bit, but he should definitely move, stick the jab, and box for at the bare minimum the first, 3-4 rounds. And try to take as many of those with boxing as he can. I think that he could do that pretty easily if he sticks to that game plan. The problem with Joet Gonzalez is that he likes to trade with people, but it usually pays off for him. Joet Gonzalez only has 2 losses. And when we say, but he's lost to good guys, these are the best guys. He lost to Navarrete, as we said, who runs through everybody and is... And scientists are figuring out how that man makes weight down there. Who's his other loss? Shakur Stevenson. So at 130 pounds, this is just, the man has beaten every other body that they've put in there with him. Those are like the most elite of guys in and around that weight there. So those are his only 2 losses. I'm a resume guy. I like to go off of who you fought and the level of competition you fought. I live and die by that a lot of times when I have to make picks, and I won't lie to you guys. I mean, I told you I think he can just outbox him and use all that reach that he will have, because not only is he lanky and kind of, more bigger for that weight class, but also on the contrary, Isaac Dogboe is a small guy too. On top of that, Dogboe's got real short arms. He is short in stature as well. He does hit hard, but he needs you to sit there in the pocket and trade with him a little bit. He can counter you, but again, you need to be sitting in the pocket there. He's got short arms, and he's a powerful puncher, but it's not like he's Mike Tyson or he's Tank Davis or anything like this either, so he can calm down with that stuff. He's not going to have a lot of success if he has to chase Gonzalez around, but Gonzalez, I feel like he will sit there and trade a little bit in spots at least. With Dogboe, and that could be a little bit of an issue. That could be where Isaac Dogboe lands some big shots that kind of totally change the momentum of the fight. But other than that, I do feel Joet Gonzalez sticking to a boxing fundamentals game plan. Always be moving. Don't trade with this guy. If your heart's set on having some good exchanges, let them be later in the fight. And I think that Joet Gonzalez will we'll get it done. But like I said, if you guys want to see good fights, it doesn't matter really about the title implications. You don't always have to know. It's nice, but you don't always have to know the guys' names. This is like an extremely close to 50-50, as competitive and who the hell knows who will win kind of fight that can take place. This is one of those fights. So I hope that you all go and watch it. I encourage you to. On Saturday on ESPN Plus. And until next time, loyal fight fans, hope you enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed being back and talking boxing with you guys. And again, drop in the comments, I mean, these guys could be on those Unknown to Casuals episode at some point. These guys are both very good. This will be a very good competitive fight. But yeah, drop stuff in the comments. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. There, I did it at the end, so hopefully if you made it through, you can decide if you like the content or not. But the comments are important. If you ever want me to bring up a question, if you disagree with me, sure, let me know. But if you ever want me to bring up a question that you had, a fight or something you want me to touch on, a fight that happened, what I thought about it, how I scored something, drop it in the comments. We're doing the Unknown to Casuals, might try it around once a month, filling that with 3 fighters at a time that casual fans would not have heard of for the most part. And that is important that you guys leave comments, because I would love to take a look at some of the fighters you guys should think should be in those Unknown to Casuals episodes. And I will take a look at them and their resume and decide if I will put them in there or not. Need your help, like the Army. I want you. Have a good weekend.